It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. We turn on the cameras because we're having another of our monthly Hilling-Pfeffer Insurance conversations. And with us here from Hilling-Pfeffer is Chris Hilling. Good to see you, Chris.
You too. Thanks, Joel.
You got it here. Hey, I'm glad I appreciate the topic that you chose here. So why don't you introduce what slice of home life auto that we're talking about here?
Right. So what I wanted to talk about today is home insurance claims, specifically what to do when you have a claim, talk a little bit about the process and what to expect, because these claims tend to be complicated, more complicated than other insurance claims, at least for the types of insurance that we handle, not going off into health insurance or anything like that. But
well, let's get some of the basics here. What is the number one loss that you see that would happen to a home?
The most common claims that we see are going to be house fires, damage from wind and hail, water damage usually from leaking appliances. Imagine like a leaking toilet or maybe a dishwasher. And then, of course, in this area, at least every other year, we have a significant amount of claims caused by the weight of ice, sleet, and snow, which will damage roofs, gutters, soffit, and fascia.
I noticed that you didn't mention, sewage backups. You don't get that as many as you used to?
We do.
It seemed like that was a big deal for a while.
Yeah, we do get a significant number of those claims, but the ones I mentioned, I would say, are the most common, but we do get those. And I've noticed a lot of times it depends where you live. We see a lot of sewer and backup claims in Mill Creek in certain areas, I've noticed. Mm-hmm. And then in the city too. And a lot of times when you're in the city of Erie, you have older infrastructure, which tends to lead to backups. So yes, definitely a common type of claim.
It's amazing that you mentioned fires. Now, are these fires that are total losses? I mean, we've seen some of those, but are they like where, there's just a significant, something happens inside the wall and they're able to put it out? Or is it kitchen fires? Like what kinds of things? I mean, how much of that is preventable? I guess I'm wondering.
Kitchen fires happen quite a bit. I dealt with a claim recently where a lot of time and money was invested in figuring out what happened. And it was an air fryer. The homeowner left an air fryer on, and it caught on fire. So you do have those types of preventable claims.
Yeah.
We have a lot of electrical claims.
Just older wiring, would you say?
Yeah, and I'm not going to act like I'm an electrical expert. I'm not,
yeah.
But arcing or some issue with the electrical system that causes a fire. You could also have overloaded circuits and plugs that can cause fires as well.
This is, again, remember we were saying off the air about we learn something every month. I'm thinking about that air fryer, right? Now, in my brain, because I have GFI outlets in my kitchen, I'm assuming that if that overheats, that's going to hit the GFI and not catch on fire. Maybe that's not necessarily the case.
We deal with, when fires happen, the insurance companies hire fire investigators.
Yeah.
And these people have seen everything. And yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. But I don't know, it doesn't always happen that way.
Okay.
And this is one of those things where, not to get off topic, but with auto insurance claims, I think there's a discussion 15, 20 years from now, how many of those claims are we actually going to have as self-driving technology improves? Mm-hmm. But it seems like with homes, even though there are significant safety upgrades that happen, we still just tend to have a lot of home insurance claims. And the home insurance market is very tough because of it. So it could be house fires. Of course, weather plays a huge part in the home insurance market as well.
When you say the home insurance market, you're meaning that a carrier willing to write up a particular homeowner, or
that's right,
or to carry that,
So it can happen a couple different ways. There's the number of companies in a market that are willing to offer coverage, and then you have the companies that are willing to offer coverage, but they might have drawbacks, such as higher wind and hail deductibles, a percentage deductible on your home. So imagine if your home is covered for $500,000, you have 2% deductible. That's a pretty large deductible.
That's $10,000.
We don't tend to see that as much in this area, but if you go to Florida, Texas, other coastal areas, that's kind of the norm.
I'm glad you brought up deductibles. Are you finding that people are carrying too high of deductible on their home insurance? And so let's say they have that branch that knocks down some shingles, maybe it's a $2,000 job for the roof repair, but it's going to be all out of pocket because their deductible's $5,000.
Right. My experience with that has been, in our office, we have a lot of customers who we've had for a long time. They tend to be with Erie Insurance. I'm usually seeing lower deductibles, where sometimes we're actually encouraging them to bump up their deductible, say from $500 to $1,000. One, for the premium savings, but two, it's usually not worth in the long run to file claims under $1,000 because of what it can do to your rates. But I do see when our customers get competing quotes, whether this is intentional or not, they will have the percentage deductible or maybe a $5,000 deductible, which some homeowners are comfortable with. But it's one of those areas where I'm seeing it more when they're getting competing quotes. We want to look at it and say, hey, just so you know, your out-of-pocket cost is going to be significantly higher.
You got to compare apples to apples.
Right. Exactly. And insurance companies will always say, well, don't say apples to apples because everyone's a little bit different. But that is one of those areas where we're going to compare it directly. Hey, here's what you have. Here's what they're offering. And we go from there.
I always heard that water, we mentioned sewer, water's a killer. Wind, though, we've had some major windstorms.
We have. And what we see, so we've had wind recently, here in the city, we've had some power outages because of it. And this actually leads into dealing with insurance claims. When you have wind damage to your house, most insurance policies should cover that. If you have a policy that doesn't cover wind, probably want to address that with your agent. But it's a commonly covered type of claim. Typically what happens is we'll be flooded with wind claims because if one house is damaged by wind, usually there's many others that were also damaged by the same storm. So you file a claim with your home insurance company, and then the process goes from getting the claim filed to hiring a contractor to handle the repairs for you. And what happens there is when there is a significant weather event, the contractors get backed up, so that can lead to claims taking a longer time to get handled. And then you have all of the parties involved with the claim. There's you, the homeowner, your insurance agent, your contractor, and the adjuster. The adjuster and the contractor need to be able to play nice with each other. The adjuster needs a solid and professional estimate from the contractor. The contractor needs to be able to provide that and then have some back and forth. Because, what we'll see a lot of times is we'll get the estimate from the contractor. Maybe there's some items on there that were not damaged by the wind that's covered under the insurance claim. So there needs to be some communication with the adjuster. That's where those claims get bogged down. Besides the sudden uptick in demand for contracting services, the communication between the adjuster can really, it's key, and it can either result in a smooth process or a not smooth process.
Again, part of my ignorance, I just don't know. But are adjusters able under the law to suggest a contractor or two that could fix it? How, again, I'm thinking of auto, right? Mm-hmm. Where you have preferred providers in a collision, right? Is there an analog to that on the home side?
There is. So as a consumer, you can work with any licensed contractor you want.
Okay, they have to have PA license for sure.
Right. And I've never seen, maybe not never, but typically we don't have situations where, my cousin Billy knows how to fix the roof, so we're going to hire him. Yeah. Usually we're dealing with licensed contractors, but that's the place to start. So you can work with a contractor of your choice. Claims adjusters will give you recommendations, but it is not a requirement. Okay. And usually when a recommendation comes out, either from the adjuster or our office, we try to be proactive in that sense. It's not because we are trying to force you to do something you don't want to do. We're trying to be helpful. If you don't know who to call, hey, here's a list of people we've worked with. They work well with the insurance companies, and we'll.
Well, and you might know a contractor that has 5 crews, and so that they're going to be in and out, and
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking of my buddy that does floors. He if you're replacing a carpet or whatever, it's just not going to take him very long because he's got enough manpower
Right.
and accessibility to the product to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of dealing with reputable professional contractors. It makes the process smoother. From that's a perfect example of how it makes the process easier.
Okay, another crazy question. We have Chris Hilling with us here from Hilling-Pfeffer Insurance. We're talking about homeowners insurance and claims. How does the industry determine what seems to be like negligence and neglect versus, this is an event that happened here. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking at that tree, and that tree is dead. Mm-hmm. And it may be, I'm thinking of maybe one of the boulevards in the inner city, right?
Right.
That tree's dead. It's just sitting there. Who's going to take care of it? And then we get one of these storms, and it goes down on somebody. Mm-hmm. Who makes that determination of, well, there should have been some proactivity versus a reactive claim?
Right. That's going to be the adjuster.
Okay.
The claims adjuster is the person who makes who makes the coverage decision, we call it. Is something covered or is it not? Now, typically what I see them doing is they're gathering evidence. So, one of our biggest company that we work with, Erie Insurance, I'm very proud to say that they still will send adjusters out. They will come to your house. They will gather evidence and they will work with you. Not every home insurance company does that now. Mm-hmm. Or if they do, it might be one person who covers a very large territory, and given the volume that they're experiencing, it's just not going to be a great customer experience. So those decisions are usually made on the ground. If a homeowner is feeling like the wrong decision was made, there's an appeal process within the carrier, and then if it's still denied and they still feel like that's not the right decision, it can be appealed to the Pennsylvania Insurance Department. And I will say that the few times I've had interactions with our Pennsylvania Insurance Department, they are pretty good for a government agency.
Okay.
I mean, they do get back to people. I think we are well served by them.
What happens? Part of your home insurance is liability, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't there built-in? What if something happens where you have a perfectly good tree in front of your house, but you have the windstorm and it's just crazy, and you have a microburst and it's pulling up, but instead of hitting your house, it's hitting the neighbors or hitting your car. I mean, does your homeowners kick in on that too, you think?
It's the source of so many neighbor disputes.
Is it really,
Chris?
Is, yeah. Oh my goodness.
We get a lot of pre-claim calls on this topic. So it's actually fairly simple. If you have a tree on your property and it's dead, you need to remove it.
Okay.
And if you know it's dead, maybe your neighbor notifies you verbally or in writing and you don't do it and it falls and damages their property, you are on the hook for it. If it is a healthy tree and it's brought down by wind, that's not your fault. That's going to go on the neighbors. If it falls on your neighbor's property, it's going to go on their insurance.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Is there what is that called? Subrogation? I mean, do the two insurances talk it out, or
they will?
Okay,
they will. It's subrogation is totally situational.
Yeah.
A lot of those subrogation situations, and subrogation just meaning one insurance company is going after another to recover money they paid. Yeah. Those end up in arbitration, and they tend to be long and drawn out processes. But yeah, that will happen depending upon the circumstances.
All right, give us some other case studies, or better yet, just some preventative maintenance, preventative ideas. I mean, should I have all my listeners looking at their home policy right now and saying, okay, where is my coverage at? Like, I know I mentioned I have Erie, and I have that Erie Plus, which covers things like, if my water main breaks all the way out to the street.
Right.
And sewer stuff, and I mean, it's just got that extra rider, so that I don't have to buy all those extra home, the things that they send you in the mail.
Right, exactly. So the standard homeowners policy from a company like Erie Insurance, State Farm, Allstate, etc., will cover the most common claims I mentioned: fire, wind and hail, weight of ice, sleet, or snow. Certain types of water damage, not all. So that's where I want to jump in. You mentioned sewer and drain backup. That is a coverage you have to add to your policy. Okay.
Okay.
So if your listeners are looking over their homeowner's insurance, look at the amount of coverage you have on your house. A lot of homes are underinsured right now because of the increase of construction materials post-COVID.
Yeah.
But a lot of policies will give you a rider to protect you from being underinsured. For example, Erie Insurance on many policies gives you guaranteed replacement costs, meaning we guarantee we'll rebuild your home if you experience total loss. So look at the amount of coverage on your dwelling, look at your deductible so you can plan for that out-of-pocket cost whenever it might happen. The extra coverages you mentioned, sewer and drain backup. If you have a finished basement, you should absolutely have this coverage. I used to say 10,000. That was for a long time. We would say by 10,000 you should be good. If you have a finished basement, it might be 15,000 or more that you need.
Yeah.
There's service line coverage. You also mentioned that. It covers and it can vary from area to area, but in Erie, it's going to be your water line, your sewer line, your gas line. If they are damaged, you can file a claim. Water lines, I've noticed, tend to cost minimum $10,000 if they have to dig it up and replace it. We have those. Roof and siding matching coverage.
Okay.
If you have a claim where your contractor cannot find matching roofing or siding materials and you have this rider, which is included in Erie Insurance's Plus and Select bundle, you'll get an extra $10,000, that's the starting limit, to have it all replaced so everything looks nice.
Wow.
And then there's more coverages in that bundle I mentioned, but I'm going over what I think are the most important. Cyber coverage, personal cyber coverage. If you
like identity theft
and also fraud. We've had claims where people got tricked into sending money somewhere they shouldn't have. Filed a claim. The insurance company, in one case, it was $15,000, and the homeowner got $14,750 back because there's a $250 deductible for coverage.
It's in those regards that you go and you bring a box of donuts to your insurance broker because they just saved you tens of thousands of dollars. You know?
Right, and sometimes we have this conversation with homeowners about because rates will go up if you file a claim, and the type of claim determines what'll happen with your pricing. But I had one recently where a gentleman got his roof replaced for about $20,000. And we looked at what he pays for the coverage that kicked in, that roof matching coverage, and what'll happen with this rate. And I said, you're going to come out ahead on this one pretty well.
Wow.
So,
wow. Again, we mentioned that when it comes to a lot of these insurances, we buy that original, we set it and forget it. But considering, especially since COVID, everything has gone up, whether we're talking cars, whether we're talking homeowners and so on. And so you might want to look at what I think, I used to scratch my head. It's like, why do I need $180,000 and I only paid this much for my house? Now it's like almost $400,000 I'm covered.
Right.
Because that's what it costs to replace a home.
Right. What I'm seeing is, so for new homeowners policies, we have software we use to estimate the replacement cost of a home.
Yeah.
It's varying between $250 to $275 per square foot. That seems to be the standard right now.
And
that's definitely way more than it was when I started.
I was going to say, that is insanely high compared to what we were used to.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. People want to just, now they've got their heart rate up and they need some counseling. How can folks get a hold of you guys at Hilling-Pfeffer?
You can reach us at 814-870-3109. Our website is Hilling-Pfefferinsurance.com. We're located at 332 Holland Street in downtown Erie.
Spell that Pfeffer for us.
Pfeffer.
Hilling
Pfefferinsurance.com. My phone still does not autocorrect the Pfeffer spelling correctly after all these years.
It's amazing. Again, thank you so much for bringing all this really important information. I think it really helps just people understand, and it's best practice. It's like, I need to be more financially healthy, and that includes insurance, man. That is absolutely key.
Right. You want an affordable policy and also a policy that'll give you the coverage when you need it.
Chris Hilling, Hilling-Pfeffer Insurance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It is 6 minutes in front of 5, or 4.